Yeah, good morning. It took me back to when my son was murdered in New York City, like in NYPD. And first of all, there was no charges put on the police officer. But then I fought so hard, and then I got one police officer fired, because I just wouldn't let it go. And that's where I fell off and let it go. So, but even when that police officer was fired, and it didn't feel like a victory to me. It just was bittersweet. It was just one step in the right direction. Because even whatever happens to these police officers, we can't get our children back. So even though we want justice, we want accountability, but there's no accountability for our children.
Several things that took ahead regarding the case. First, the jury. When we went through a criminal trial for my son's case about Sir killing him, the jury was all Caucasian as well. And the jury, when we didn't even have the jury trial in the county where he was killed at, it was 400 miles away. So he had to travel that 400 miles. But in picking the jury selection, one of the things that we found out, even there was a couple African Americans who could have been on the jury, but they dismissed them. And so it was an all white jury as well. One of the things an attorney told me is that as African Americans, we do not go and want to be involved in the jury cases. So we make an excuse and we don't go. And he said that we have to learn how to make sure we're involved in our criminal cases. Otherwise, we get peers that do not look like us. The second thing was when we was faced with the jury giving a verdict, the jury came after the verdict guilty of gun enhancement charge and guilty of involuntary manslaughter is what he said. But the judge stepped in still and changed and said, I'm going to act as the 13th juror. And I gave the jury the wrong instructions. So I'm throwing out the gun enhancement charge. And I'm still going to make sure that I am not charging an officer the way that community thinks that he should be charged. And so he only ended up doing 11 months in the county jail, never to get a felony. But I say that to say that we have to get involved in our judicial system, and especially when it's involved criminal cases where there is a jury trial.
So the white again, other than the verdict from Tara Nichols, it took me back to February of this year. We finally got a court date for the attorney, the district attorney who handled the Mark's case in the beginning. And we waited like 4 years to get in court. We went to court, we picked a jury, and they sat on the jury box for like 10 days. And the day that the attorneys were preparing to close, the judge spoke and said that Ms. Johnson was indicted under the wrong oath, and he threw it out. Very devastating because she was the reason why it took 74 days to make an arrest. And she had 10 jobs. Anyone else want to add into that, just kind of where if it triggered a choke even?
Hello. For me, honestly, like what he said, they were unstabilized months. They did what they wanted to do. You guilty by association. If it's one of us who did what they did, they should have been prosecuted. They didn't do that. And you resemble what you assemble. You show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. At the end of the day, we them for our loved ones, and we're gonna get them back. Y'all got life sentences, and they don't have that understanding. They get a slap on the wrist, and they get to go home. You have to fight hard every day, and you got to pray that you get somebody out there to be able to get in the fight with you. But when you were talking about jury duty and things like that, I've been there for jury duty, and they put me out because I didn't want to believe in what they were going to be believing. So they're going to always get who they know, because a lot of people believe in what they do. It's okay to put your hands on somebody and don't have accountability. That's just the life that we live in. But we gotta stick together and be with each other.
We're going to unpack that a little more, getting more to the legal, the justice part, and finding that. Did you have something? No, I'm like the we got a lot to unpack today. We're going to get to it. So I'm going to go to you, Miss Wanda. Yeah. Miss Wanda Cooper Jones. There's like a couple of ones up here. Make sure you get the right one. I was reading during sentencing, you said, I feel every shot that was fired every day. Talk to us a little bit about that. What are you feeling? What did you mean when you said that I feel every shot that was fired every day?
Because literally, I feel every shot every day. My mom was killed while he was doing something that he enjoyed doing. When he left for home, that started running, he didn't have any activity because he not being shot at. And just know that they chased him for like 7 minutes. He was found confronted. He had to fight. Get after himself from shots. The still shock that I have in my mind every day is, but he ended the fight. He knew his wasn't. He said, and then I guess he was saying it's time to go home. And as he ran off, he fell into the ground and died. The last gunshot was, I guess, the smoke, but in the smoke was his blood. So I'm not the same. That changed me forever. And literally every day I still feel those shots.
And you bring up something because this is a question I have a little bit later, but I want to park right there and open this up to everyone because we are in an age of social media. We are in a place where now, as our best or sometimes our only line of defense is to turn the phone on, is to live stream, is to record. We can say all day something happened, but when you see it, it hits differently. Now, for us on this side of it, that's like sometimes our only way of fighting, or pushing back, or speaking up, or showing this situation and how it really is instead of leaving it to them to go into court and paint it how they maybe want it to be. But I think sometimes we forget the family of those on the other side of those videos. Like it's been a long time since I've actually watched one of those videos. I have never experienced a loved one who's had that walk with law enforcement. But me alone, I can't say last time I watched the videos. I want any of you all, whoever feels comfortable, wants to jump in on that. How do you feel about the videos being posted and shared and all of that? How does that make you? Does it help? Does it hurt? Does it do nothing? Anybody want to speak on that? I don't think that.
I'm just a sister-in-law, but for me, I think it's a little bit of both. And I say that because when we bring about the murders, we have a lot of young audiences that take to social media, and it's like they're vibing. And so we want them to be aware of what could possibly happen and really walk outside of their parents' homes. I want them to, think safety first. For us, it has been a roller coaster ride because May 25th of 2020, we're kind of on the 50th anniversary of George. We have not stopped even to one problem. And sometimes we catch so many flights, there are so many time zones, till we just get caught up on, we don't even know what time it is, something that's simple. And so to open up social media and find out that, okay, today our administration is going to accelerate shopping is a slap in my face to find out like that. To find out that they're going to exhume George's body to extract blood from his heart to prove 5 years later that he passed away from an overdose for asphyxiation for a knee to the neck is an insult. And so you just compare the family, and then our hearts go out to, because we have a lot of conversation around it. Gianna, she's at that age where she has social media accounts. So that, hear the little chip chatter in her classroom, when she walks outside her door, that those things are the things that we have to try to overcome. And it's overbearing sometimes, and you have to allow nothing else but your faith.
Yeah. I want to add in as well. A video. The sharing of the video is painful, but it helped. Because without video, we still chanting justice for our lives. The video, it was because I saw the video. Because from day one, they kept saying, Ms. Luke Jones, we have video. We got it on video. and I begged for months. I wanted to see the video. I couldn't see the video. But then one Tuesday morning, I got a call from my attorney saying, hey, still look for social media because the video is there. Yeah. And the question I asked was, what was he doing? He said, relax. He was doing nothing wrong. So we need the video, but at the same time, I still relive that video through the life of a bond. The shots you took, I took.
Yeah, I say the same thing. When this murder happened with my son, and that night when the when the news pastor says we have a video of what actually happened. Now I was curious to know what happened, but now when I started looking at the video, it was like them killing my son in front of me, and I never could look at the entire video because the anxiety got the best of me, and like I was yelling at the police officers, let him go, let my son go, and whatnot. And I was really thrown into a rage when I was looking at the video. So, and at that time, it kept showing the video over and over on the TV. It was all over the place. And my husband at the time, who has since passed away, he would just say, don't look at the TV. Don't, if it comes on, we turn away from it because it's a trigger and it takes you back to, even though it has already happened, but it's like it's happening all over again. But, far as those who see it, you're not a part of it, it is necessary because we want you to see how cruel they are to our children. Yes. And this is the only way that reality can really sink in. You have to see it. You can't just hear about it because everybody has different perceptions of what actually happened. But when you see it, you can make your own decisions. And so that's why I tell people, even when I would go to be on panels or be somewhere they're doing speeches, they'll say, well, we want you to step out the room because we're going to show the audience the video. And I would step out the room because it's too much for me. Even today, it's too much for me. But, it is necessary, for all of you and others to see it. So, Lady, you can help us. You can help us, have our children live in a safer America. So we don't have to be afraid when our black sons walk out the door. We don't have to be afraid that we stop our police and end up in death. We don't want that.
I just want to add that it's also necessary because we can't just walk in. I just want to add that it's necessary because we can't just walk into the police station and tell them that the police killed our children. Yeah. Because they're going to throw us out of it. It's always that didn't happen. The police didn't do this. So without people feeling what's going on, a lot of us wouldn't even know what has happened because for Brianna, there was no video. For the most part, they kept saying there was no video because they went there to break into her home, and so no one turned on video until they were trying to kill them at that point. So, and they intended to leave no one alive, and by the grace of God, Kenneth made it out of there. And because there was no video, if he wasn't there, we would have never known what happened to Brianna because I have only seen for over 13 hours and never is a police shot. I didn't learn that until after I left and went home and heard it on the TV. So that's why I've heard these videos are important and traumatizing for a lot of us, but without the flag, I can get nowhere. So, well, to me, I didn't watch the video. It happened to us. That shouldn't happen to no one. But they people slept to death. And I guess the video didn't help because three of them got off, didn't they? They was not guilty. So that video didn't help, I guess. I can say this.
when they were beating my son, I didn't know at the time. I was speaking to my daughter. My stomach started hurting really bad all of a sudden. And I just kept telling her, my stomach hurt, my stomach hurt. And I didn't realize that was my son's life being taken away from me at that time. I didn't realize that. The only thing that video did, it brought awareness that this does happen to our children. And these police officers, they beat our kids and they murder our kids as if they're nothing. There was an incident in Memphis, right, a couple days ago where a young lady got hit by a car. No one stopped to help her. The one man that did stop, he said he thought it was a dog in the street. So, you see, they help animals faster than they'll help us. And unfortunately, it's a true statement, but that's unfortunate. But I didn't see the video of my son. I just couldn't. I actually did see the first minute up until the point where he said, "What did I do?" And after that, I lost it. I couldn't watch it anymore. But it just bothers me that, everyone that did see the video, they said my son was very polite and he obeyed everything. And the funny part of all of this, when this happened, they said my son was running away from the police. He didn't even know the police was following him. He stopped at a red light, waiting to make a left turn. Does that sound like somebody that's running from the police? No. They have so many lies about my son. And what pisses me off the most, they'll murder our children, and then they'll try to find the bad in them to justify it. And that's the saddest thing ever.
Let me ask this and just maybe lighten it a little bit. It's heavy. It is, and I'm sure we all feel it, but our hearts go out to you all because we're in this forum for the download to you all live this every day. And we're just coming on Mother's Day. And I think people forget. I did the sister's not here. I did an interview a couple of years ago with Sheila Clemens and with Shondell Brooks, her son, murdered in Waffle House, because we forget that we celebrate Mother's Day, but there are children who don't have their moms and moms who don't have their kids. And that's a difficult day. We forget about that sometimes. So to the moms up here, but also to everyone, share with us a fond memory, a light memory, something that you remember, it makes you laugh about the loved one, a memory that gives you strength. Share something, because we want to remember them for, like you said, for the positive, for the light, not just what everyone wants to put them as maybe one thing they maybe did that's probably not, it doesn't even matter. But a lot fun memory.
Well, I'm going to say this real quick because it was on my mind. This past Mother's Day, I have 3 other children, a daughter and 2 other sons. And Harvey was the baby and my daughter is the oldest. And they used to rush to try to call me to see them with me first, to call me to say Happy Mother's Day. So my daughter this time, she made a post on Facebook and it just basically said, I don't have my brother to wish my mother Happy Mother's Day, because Tyreek would call, Mama, I'm the first one to call you today. And I said, yes, Ty, you're the first one. So, it was nice to bring that.
And I'd like to say, Ty is my stepson, but I have one daughter, so he is my only son. And once being tied up there, it was an intimate connection. And I was Bob's, and I was his bond. But Ty was a beginning, and and the one thing I miss the most about Ty is whenever I have problems with my phone, I'm going to get Ty.
Online to support. Support.
And he goes missing. But I'd also like to say, I never forget the first real Father's Day we had, and I have this hobby, and he bought me this hobby team, and he bought me these lights that go up under the door, and he put them in for me. And he was so happy uh, to give me these things, and I have this feeling today that I will never, ever give it up. So that's my fondest memory of Todd.
So for me, my fondest memory is my birthday is December 31st, and one of Oscar's favorite dishes is gumbo. And so I cooked gumbo for my birthday celebration. And Oscar came over, and so I gave him his bowl of gumbo, and I had my bowl, and we were sitting at the counter talking. And so he ate all of his gumbo. And so he wanted another bowl, so I gave him another bowl of gumbo, and he ate that one. And so he wanted a third bowl, so I gave him a third bowl, but I had my bowl on the counter. And so I guess during his time eating the third bowl, he must have got full because I had turned and walked away, and I know how much I had left in my bowl. And he started putting the gumbo that he had in his bowl in my bowl. And so I said, wait a minute, Oscar. And he started smiling, and he gave it away. I knew right then that he was getting full, and he had put his gumbo in my bowl. So that's the memory that I will always cherish, spending my birthday with him, the last day that I got to see him.
I think you got to tip him. I like yours.
My grandson was killed in my backyard. And so, but the memory is that they, on the Sunday, to church. I fixed his favorite barbecue. He loved barbecue chicken. So I had cooked it. But my granddaughter's the sister. She's about 7. She had made a praise dance. She does praise dancing. And she may want to take me to the king. So I told her, I said, oh, my favorite. I just started crying because it was so beautiful. I said, go upstairs and get your brother because he was up there with my son, his uncle, in the studio. And so she went and got her brother. And he came down. I said, little Papa, you're going to cry. You're going to cry and watch because she's going to really do it because we call him Little Papa. And my husband was Big Papa. And so Little Papa, he came downstairs and he looked at her and he picked her up and he started crying. And I knew he was going to start crying because I did too. But anyway, the memory was that he said, Grandma, I might not be your favorite, but you're my favorite. So that's I remember that from him. And he's on a videotape with me. And he says, Grandma, I know that you don't like that social media, Instagram and all that. But I made you an Instagram called Queen. And I still don't be with him, but he always tell me laughing. And he smiled. And he always doing something to my phone. And, so I enjoyed that. Now my grandson step out there and no grandma got to have an iPhone.
Bring you up to speed.
When you think about your child, there's so many memories. But I think I'm going to go back to one of the childhood memories that really just made me laugh. When a Christmas morning, I had that Christmas, if I had bought everything his brother, it was only a year and a half apart. I bought them, back then was the big wheels, but I bought one of the top of the line big wheels. It was called the Flint cycle. It was made just like a Flint mobile with the rock wheels and, things like a Flint mobile. So anyway, I said, I want to see their faces when they get up in the morning. So hammering. And so when he came and their eyes lit up, Eric, they had these little things back there. Oh, baby. Oh, wow. So what we got for Christmas. And so Eric, he looked at his younger brother and said, Eric, now I know you're rich. So Henry looked back at him and said, I do it all the time, stupid. I laughed so much at that. And, they really thought they was rich. We lived in public housing. And it just filled my heart for them to think that they had it. Well, that's what my kids hoping they go on in life, Mom, you gave us a good life. We had things that other kids didn't have. And and then they was naming their toys what they got when they was 7 and 8, when they was 8 and 9, when they was 9 and 10. And I said, you remember all of that? They said, yeah. I said, I can't even remember all the things that I went to back then. But it just filled my heart to see that they appreciate, Eric, he appreciated what I did for them as a child, and because he said, Mom, you gave us a good life. And I said, I thought you thought I yelled at you too much. He said, that's nothing. All mothers yell.
I got some good memories that they mean house of God. It's funny.
We're going to keep it holy.
I guess I'll talk about childhood memories as well of Brianna. She always was just smart and had this old soul. And she hated to be dirty and get her clothes dirty, her shoes. So she had these shoes that she went outside and they got dirty. So she comes and she's like, my shoes is dirty. Oh my God, I need help. And I was like, well, give me all clean up. Like, it's not a big deal, Brianna. And she's like, I love you, but my granny got the power. I need my granny. That's so sorry. I don't know what that means, but she was like, Mom, yes, my granny said, she plays that song my last $2 and she could fix anything. She's like, for sure the song got in it. It was hilarious. She always lit up over. Anybody else have a memory there? These are some really good memories. I actually like these. 2 hours.
And just as a final, we're going to come to the audience here in a few minutes. So if anyone has a question or topic, we're going to come to you, Prisa.
It's a lot to talk about with George. He had the heart going. He would see a homeless man and he had been up with a tire shoe. He had a lot of kids. He cut their hair. A lot of people were running like rabbit in my neighborhood because a lot of people, brothers and fathers had problems. And I don't know if I know what a chili bowl is, but a lot of the kids had chili bowls and he had to fix their hair for them. Get them right out cut for free. And he wasn't a barber. But you thought he was. So he was a water clippers and do it. Because they didn't have the money anyway, but he was going to make sure that they went to school okay. But the thing about George, it was more of me as the child and my youngest brother. It's like military for us because he was always teaching us to be physical and have heart, always be willing to give 110%. He took us to play Little League football. They made me and my brother go hands up with each other, and me and him was like basically like somebody patting you down. We would try to hurt each other. But he made me go hands up with one of my friends. And I said, oh, that's my friend, that's my partner. That was the wrong thing. He hit me so hard, I didn't know where I was. But I got it together. Because my brother was right there. I said, I got to play. I got to be hard. I got to be a man. And I was young. I was only like 12. So I ran and hit him hard as I could. And everybody talked, oh, that was good. That was good. I still was praying to her right there. Please stay me. I want to be here. But he showed me a lot. He gave me structure. And he was one of the people that taught me that to be like a lot of people, because a lot of people are always seeking validation from the world that crucified a perfect man. And I understood that. I took that for him. That was George.
I'm very brief. My mom was born on Mother's Day in 1994. So our schedule was on Mother's Day, my mom stayed about 3 hours away. So we would always go to grandma's house for Mother's Day. So one year, Quest came to me and said, Mama, everybody has a birthday except me. We always at my house. I'm going to get my birthday. And he just didn't understand. But eventually we started getting cake at grandma's house, but that was always very conflicting. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? I have it. You need it. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. Each one of your stories have touched me personally. And
So just tell me who you are. But just like for nothing.
my name is Jeff Richard, and I'm executive director of the Community Oversight Board here at Family Deal with Police Accountability Board. And I have followed your stories for a very long time. Eric Garner got killed many years ago when Michael Brown got killed. And from that point on, I was working at the public defender's office doing criminal investigations in helping defendants. And so I've spent my entire career, even as a police officer, doing some type of work in this field. And so I just appreciate each one of you coming and telling your stories. My question is to Breonna Taylor's mother and Mr. Floyd here. I know that there were some consent decrees that were supposed to be established in Louisville and in Minnesota. And I am also a board member of NACO, just so that you all know, which we're going to be in Minneapolis this year. And so with the consent decrees, I know that they were either talking about them or they had been established. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with those and if there's ever going to be any accountability in those cities regarding the deaths of your loved ones?
I'm very conflicted about the accountability. I'm not sure that there will ever be any just waving the down. So that's hard to deal with. And as far as the consent decree, it's gone nowhere. That's just what it's been taught there. And then once the Uber administration came along, it's been at a standstill. There's one excuse after another. I'm not sure that we'll ever get it. The mayor claims that he's still working on it. And he still wants to work with the public and have accountability, but he has done absolutely nothing to please that.
Me personally, the world stood watching my brother being murdered in broad daylight. The world stopped, and it was in a pandemic at the time. COVID was everywhere. And God shut the world down for everybody to see what's going on. When people stood with us, I had hope. But when we went in that courtroom, it was like a glimpse of hope because we knew that we were fighting because of the color of our skin. And we had a nice amount of money to be able to get some type of opportunity to get through what we were going through. The understanding when you're out there, you got to see a video over and over. Nobody's there to sit there and tell you that it's going to get better because you know it. You lost them. You're never going to get them back. But at the end of the day, you're looking for some type of accountability. And that's something that they don't want to give us. And for us as people, we live like we in fear of our lives. We have to wake up and tell our kids every day, make sure that you let the windows down when you're driving, when you get pulled over. They don't have to do that. They can do anything that they want, and they can get justice. But for us, we have to march, we have to protest, we have to get out there, get beat about dogs. We got to go through a lot. And I can talk about so much when it goes around from the White House to so many different things because the place that I was at, I don't see how they could have had all those people running there on January 6th and stuff like that. I just don't see it because they would have so many police officers on top of the buildings and everything. And if they wouldn't have had all that, then we would have waited there. It would have been one of them that exploded anyway. Yeah. So I just tell people, keep your family close, because your enemies will always be right there. You never know who you're dealing with. So just prepare yourself.
Yeah, to that, because policy and legislative change is what we focus on in California a lot. And after the death of my brother in my grandmother's backyard, we got AB 392 passed by Governor Gavin Newsom. And what it is called special Clark's law. What it does is but anytime you do something so bad where the law must be created, you should be held accountable. Man, Steph Hemsworth, although it raises the forest from reasonable to necessary, still, all of us just going to say, I fear in my life. That's how I think. I fear in my life. On my birthday, I was a cell phone, but the same cops who killed my brother still patrol the streets of Sacramento. They haven't been fired. They haven't been charged. They haven't even convicted. And one of the cops is a black cop, so I'll steal the fucking kinfolk. You make my color, but you're not my color. I believe law enforcement. Come on, man. I believe law enforcement. These police are the largest and most effective gang in America's history. There's one jail away when you're in America and talk to and tell them I sent you. Yeah, if you want me the job, you want me the job. You just get out to referral. But anyways, they say blue lives matter. Blue lives don't matter. Like you talked about the Cookie Monster, the Avatar, Lilo Stitch, those guys. But, that's the kind of code they try to put in our head. They try to, normalize this. And they think that we become desensitized because we see it so much. And we can't get desensitized. We need to have actionable items. Policy and legislative change is good, but the community needs to be informed and educated on the policy and legislative change. And when we say informed, we got to break that down for our people. We got to give them facts on the policy. And we say educate, we have to give them moral, social, and intellectual instruction on this policy and legislative change. Without them leaving,
We lost my mom in 2020 in February of 2020. In June of 2020, Governor Kemp in Georgia gave us a hate crime law. And that was introduced because of the way that Ahmaud was killed. Also, when he was killed, they were using something called a citizen's arrest. And that's no longer books in Georgia.
Memphis, when this all happened to Tyree, the beautiful citizens of Memphis, they signed, they passed before they citizen things of that nature in Tyree's name. Unfortunately, the governor of this state overturned everything, so nothing is in place as of right now. We had a nice conversation, but basically he told me, I'm sorry about your son, but we're gonna overturn this or like this, so.
For most of us, we can get a law long before accountability because as well, we have the Brianna's law, which is a ban of no knock warrants. But because it's happening everywhere. They're just happening a little bit WI. So again, this talks like for California, we do fight a lot for different legislators. But I always start as we look at the beginning of history in the 1900s, when we was coming over to America, being brought over, we understand that the policing system has really not changed. It's really just a different outfit that's being worn right now on today. And so because the policing system has not changed, it's so important for us to get in there and make sure that we continue to sound our voices with the trumpet and make the noise. What happens in our society is we operate for a movement for a certain period of time. And then after that time expires, we go back to doing everything normal. And so our society is saying, just give them a few months. They'll go back to normal and everything will be back like it was. We have to make sure that we don't stop putting pressure on our society to make changes. So when Stefan was talking about 8392, there was other bills implemented during that time period. One of the things that we talked about is making sure that there are citizen review boards all over these police stations and around, because it's important, because now that we have camera, people are seeing and can believe differently, but it's important to have these review boards to try to hold the officers accountable. But in the accountability, Mr. Patrick, what he was saying, when you think of that blue line, it doesn't matter what color the officer is. You will learn that they are going to be right there protecting one another, lying for one another, even in the midst of losing our children. I don't know about anything, but I know what happened to me when I lost my son. I know how there was an officer right there when the officer stood up and shot and killed my son. The other officer says, I didn't even hear a gunshot. Yeah, I didn't hear anything. So they will get on the stand and lie. And until our society begins to say, we're not going to accept them getting on the stand lying, but we're going to hold them accountable because they're not held accountable right now, we will continue to see this throw of people being killed at the hands of law officers until our communities wake up and stand together and say, we're not going to accept what we have been accepting all these years. Because for right now, we accept too many different things when it comes to policing. And because we've watched the media so long, the media played a big role. Oftentimes, we believe what the media said when they put it on television, right? The only reason why that is changing is because our young radical kids are up and they're filming it and they're posting it, allowing that. That's not necessarily true what you were saying. See, because if there's no media, we've heard all the killings that took place without media, and they was running, they was fighting, they had a gun. We've heard all these things, right? And so we have not seen them until recently where the videos have come, which can change the perception of our police. And that's what we tell people. Don't believe what you see. Go find out and research it yourself. Get involved and then make an informed decision, because we make too many decisions based on what we're seeing and not what we know.
I also want to comment on that too, because like when my grandson was still in my backyard, there was people everywhere, all the media, all kinds of stuff was all over the media. And I said that the tape that they gave me, that wasn't true. They made him look like, first they lied and said it was a pipe, and then they turned around and they said in the backyard that he had picked up something. Then they turned around and said it was glass broken out the windows of people's cars. I mean, you could kill somebody. They shot my grandson 20 times in my backyard, and I'm thinking there's somebody over there in the back of us. It was apartments. It was called Coral Gables, so they always had like shootings or something. So I'm assuming it was that, but it wasn't. And so that's what I'm saying for the media. I got really sick when I was with the media. It was terrible for me. I couldn't look at no tape. I couldn't look at nothing. I couldn't do nothing with that media. So yes, the media, now the young people are accepting it and come to make it, that it's well known that this is really what happened, because they had an outrage. They had everything. The whole family, our family went into mental stage. My grandson, he jumped on the mayor's desk and everything. But they got his attention. He shut down the King's Day. He shut that down. He shut the city down. They were bringing troops out for him, because it was, but the media, like I said, that media, and that's what changed.
If we can go very quick into that. We have a couple of these questions, and then we're going to circle back this way. If you have a question. Yeah, they're back here. Thank you to the audience. To introduce myself, my name is Evan Vadiga Mills. I'm a 40-year civil rights activist, largely co-web Scott, Nick Gregory, Al Starkton, John Lewis, Arden Jordan, and many others. And been marching across this country. We put on the 62-day protest that made national news here for George Floyd, for we marched with Trayvon. We set people down, for Breonna Taylor, that we had to get out of jail. So we've been in this fight. What I like to say is that over the years of protesting across this country, we have great conversation. It's a great parent and young dance and putting it together. But from marching across the country, from fighting where people like to come into spaces like this, but don't want to do the work, is
is the key issue to me for our people. Because the fight inside us, you fight by yourself, you fight with a small group, and we get together and want to have meetings like this. I want to say to this audience, this is a great audience. Thank you to Cheryl and Nan for putting this together. Please give this audience what you need from us. Because as the civil rights members have marched in these places across the country, you march by yourself. And they later on as a great panel trying to analyze what happened. For Tommy Nichols, the NAACP, across this state, Nan, across this state, we should be in Memphis. Let them know the hell is it is. Until we get to the point where we understand that it's time for us to stand together and fight. Well, they're on these cameras, but they don't want to see us come together for Tyree and Memphis. People were calling me saying, what we gonna do? They were calling me from out of state. I said, these people are quiet. I'd like to ask you all, can you give this audience what you need from the people? Because this will happen again. And again, and again.
Yes. Yeah, that was a great question. What we need from the audience is actionable items. You know, I always think that was Steve's recommendations for you all on how to prevent these atrocities. Also, you know, passion without direction is chaos, and passion with direction is murder. And we're just been solidarity all we want, but solidarity without organization is useless. How are we coming together? What are our solutions to prevent this stuff? You know, the policy and legislative changes there, but let's talk about the resources to prevent healing spaces. You know, social justice is a big thing, but food justice, economic justice, housing justice, all that got to be in line before we get to social justice. So it's a lot of actually why I might as well from step 6. We'll go over it after or whatever. But that was a good question. That's my favorite question.
I just want to say something because what you brought up was a really good question. So with the Tyree Nichols, the situation that happened there, I'm going to tell you how the media confused the public. And they came out and they said that they will have a jury trial and the case will be transferred to Chattanooga. So I have the Chattanooga president here today too. And she got everybody together in Chattanooga so they can be at that hearing. But the trial was in Memphis, but the juror was coming from Chattanooga to Memphis. So they confused it, and you all had the 9-day trial, and we thinking, when the media came on and said what was about to happen, we thought that the trial was about to happen again. So when you listen to the media, and like you said, Mother, when you hear what the media says, you hear what they say, you see it with your eyes, and you don't believe what you hear. Because what we heard was not the truth. And everything that you all have said is just art. Because I have a son. I have one son. And I have one grandson. And I take that back. Because God also gave me a bonus son. I go to sleep every night afraid. When my phone rings at a certain time, my heart beats real fast. When someone knocks on my door and rings my bell, my heart beats real fast. And that's not a way for us to live. No. But now in this world, this society now, this is the only way to live. There's always wondering if something's going to happen to your love.
We have one question back here and one up there. Well, hold on. Let's get the response first to that last question, and then we'll go to Dr.
Yes. There you go. So one of the things that moves our society is dollar bills. Okay. You have to come up with a strategy that will cause the amount of economy to go down. Yeah. When my son Oscar was killed, one of the things that the protesters and the unions did was for the port of Oakland, California, they stopped anything from leaving the port and coming into the port. And so during that time, I forgot how many billions of dollars was lost during that period from them doing that. And that's when they begin to move. So if you don't move them with what they want, which is dollars, then they're not going to move. And so one of the things that I would always say to families who are going through is you have to keep the pressure on them. If you don't keep the pressure on, they'll know, oh, it's just a fad. It's going to pass, right? And so even though my sister didn't get the justice that they wanted in the lower court system, doesn't mean you stop bothering the lower court system. You still got to be a disruption. You still got to get some good trouble standing there, being there, and saying, no, I don't accept what was given to us. And so we're still going to fight. We're still going to have people come, protest, whatever they need to do to make sure that our society stays woke and know that we're not forgetting about what happened to Tyree Nichols, because too many times many of our people don't even say anything about their loved one being killed. And we gotta begin to speak up about it and make sure that we are on one accord fighting to ensure that justice is served. And we know that what would be justice is our children being here. But we still want a measure of justice to make the society know that we're not going to accept what you're doing. And because we're not going to accept it, if I have to be at the courthouse every day, guess what? I'm going to be there. If I have to be in front of the city council, I'm going to be there. If I have to be in front of the board of supervisors, I'm going to be there. It has to be a commitment. And there's so many people in this fight. They want to watch the cameras, but then when the fight is, when the cameras are not there, they're disappeared too. You got to be willing to stay in the fight no matter what.
Looking back to you now. We have one back here. We'll do one back there. Answer, and then come to this.
Yeah, my name is Grace. Like, a lot of the family members know me because I'm travel and I've been in New York and stuff with ass shop. I just wanted to say, really not a question. Let's just say, well, I guess there's a question. Y'all travel around the country and tell y'all story, but do anybody ever ask y'all how y'all feel? I mean, really, how are you doing? Because y'all come to give us so much, but we need to know, like you said, what do y'all need from us? But also, y'all know, I call you all the time. You feel what I'm saying? Don't just meet these loved ones and then just stop and go back and tell your friend, oh, hey, I met Breonna Taylor's mother. I mean, why don't you call Breonna Taylor's mother and see how she's doing sometime?
Yeah.
Call George Floyd's brother, Philonus, and ask him, how you doing, brother? Because I sure never call Stephon and say, how you doing, brother? You feel what I'm saying? That is what we need. We need to be able to love on each other. This is, we know what we up against. I mean, it's so many of y'all like y'all across the nation. We know what we up against. So now we need to know how to love and to pour in each other. That's all I'm going to say.
On that note, I have a lot of friends that say, man, I just want to give you some space. And I be saying, we need our friends to call us and give us encouragement, to pray for us. You know, space could be a week or space could be 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
But at that same token, don't tell me that I was thinking about calling you, but I needed to give you some space. We need to hear from you. You know, as a family, as a community, as this fellowship we have to figure. You know, we're part of fraternity and we never wanted to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? And now that we are a part of it, we want to continue to fight together. But we do need that encouragement and that those phone calls. Thank you.
I've had people say, oh, I wanted to come around and didn't know what to say. I tell people all the time, you don't have to say anything. It's simply okay to come and take up space with us. It's simply okay to come and hug them. We don't have to talk about what happened. We don't have to tell that story over and over. Everybody knows the story. Mm-hmm. Simply take up space with us. Simply be in the room. It's all we need is sometimes.
Thank you all so much. My question is very similar. I'm Arnold Taliette. I'm the Director of Racial Justice Ministries at Spirit Business Center. And I'm also a pastor of the ministers here in Nashville. And one of the things that is very clear that, as you said, you're part of a fraternity, a sorority that no one wants to be a part of. And it's heavy to know not only that you've lost a child, but also that no one really cares. That there's no true accountability, and when all are created, that definitely might knock you down, and all types of things that can happen throughout, or not fully enforced. And so you might have a number of folks still walking, and all types of things are happening. And so it builds the anger, the frustration that is righteous, that makes us work to do the thing that we're called to. But also, in the midst of that anger only causes us to burn out. And that's when movement stops. Because we're so angry, we're so messed up, that we feel frustrated. And with this new administration, you just feel like there's something every day. And my question for you is that what I also heard today were stories of great love, great joy, of remembering of fighting to tell mama how much I love you on Mother's Day, and all of those things. And those stories of love and joy, that is what keeps us happy. It is why when during the civil rights movement, when they would be down, that they would sing songs in the midst of all of that. And I'm wondering, how do you all keep joy? How do you keep hope? And how do we keep this movement with the anger and the joy? Like, because we still need the anger, but how are you keeping the anger and the joy together to keep and push the work that needs to be done, so that our children's children, their children's children might possibly live in a land free?
You know, what you said, everything you said is true. And a lot of times we fight so hard to get burnt down. But what happens is, when you get burnt down, sometimes you got to take a step back. Sometimes you just got to hold a cup over your head that morning and say, I'm not getting out there. I'm not fighting today. You know, I just want to take a rest. But now, after you get yourself together, you get back up the next day and you start fighting all over. You know, but sometimes you got to take that step back. And we have to fight behind the cameras as well as in front of the cameras, you know. There are a lot of things that I have done behind the cameras as far as getting executive orders passed. Well, me and other mothers from New York, we went to Albany, which is our state capital. We lobbied. We asked people to co-sign bills with us. And that's how I got the Eric Garner anti-chokehold bill signed. Because this was all done behind the camera. I really got the legislators to fight with me. And the ones who would, who said that they voted against it, I went to community meetings where they would be. And I did roll call. Why you're not fighting with me? What is the reason why you're not doing this for me? So this is what we have to do. We have to keep fighting. We need the community behind us. And that's another way that you can help us. Anytime that you hear that the legislators are in town and there's some wrong that has been done, you can go there and you can speak up. You can even go to the prisons. They have meetings once a month. But we just had to keep it going. Like, we can't just sit on our couches and look at a news story, another child got killed. Oh, that's so bad. Another child got killed. No, we can't just sympathize. We got to empathize. Oh, man.
Well, it's easy for me. You don't need money or fame to fight. All you need is the truth and the will to keep going, to keep you motivated, and you get up every morning. I treat everything just like working out. You got to push through it, because every day is going to be a struggle. But if you keep moving, you're going to get everybody in the right situation. I'm always fighting for, like, especially poor people, so they can have the understanding to get a job. Because they need to have the trades. They need to be able to do that. Because if we don't put them in that situation, they don't want to step up and want to move with you for a reason. And that's what happened when the Democrats and stuff was fighting in office, nobody was pushing for people to get the trades and get the jobs. They held our people back because on a lot of things that I was a truck driver, so I know where money comes from. And they had that opportunity to be plumbers, welders, HVAC, whatever you want, they could have did it. And they had the opportunity. And no disrespect to any other nationality, we have the opportunity to really do a lot in life because we paved the streets in this world. Yeah. We did a lot, but we slacking right now. We're holding ourselves back by not getting up to what we're supposed to do in that. That's fear. Love things. Okay. I'm going to say something after you want to.
So he talked about an actionable item. And one of the actionable items that you people could do here is to help Tyrese Nichols out. One of the ways, too, that you can also go and help them is find out when their city council meeting or their board of supervisors meeting and go to that meeting. Because how many of us in this place have actually went to where he was killed at, to any of those meetings? Has anyone did that? I want to encourage you, if you have not, even though they gave a verdict, you can still go into the board of supervisors meeting or your city council meeting and tell your dissatisfaction and let them know, you know what you guys did, how the officer was found, they were found not guilty. We don't agree with that. We don't like it. And you need to voice that in those offices because that police lets that city know, the commission know, that police station know that you are aware of what's going on and that you are not in agreement with what's going on. And that's where your voice can really start at. And they need to do that as well as to sit with them and be there in whatever direction they give you to follow, to help and follow that direction out to help them get the form of justice that they're looking for.
Yeah, I just want to add that, I think the question was around how you navigate the joy and trauma and that. So when my grandma does a lot of therapy and whatnot, I take therapy as well. But I would believe for failures like mine, self-care is the most important form of healthcare. So I believe that we got to take care of ourselves. And whatever self-care it is, but we need a self-care. Number one is my healthcare. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Dr. Lenore Willis, and I am from Chattanooga. I'm a practicing doctor of dental surgery for over 35 years, and I've owned my business for 35 years. And God has blessed me to be in a position to be owner, one of only two. But I'm bringing those stations, WPP 100.1 FM in Chattanooga. I was born and raised in Chattanooga, and I brought the Chattanooga folks with me. I am the president of the first Chattanooga Men organization in Chattanooga. I went to dental school in Memphis. Met my first husband in Memphis. So my roots are deep, and from this Tyrese Nichols, I can promise you, and anybody that knows me knows that when I do things, I do it right. Okay? So I'm a very analytical person. I've heard a whole lot today. There are some questions that's got to be answered because we were confused. I will tell you all that I'm the president of Awesome Park Development Corporation, which is the only Black community development corporation in Chattanooga that owns millions of dollars for the back states. So we have the power to do some things, but it has to be strategic. If I've learned anything in life, I've learned that if we go out there and fight cattle wild and swing all the kinds of ways, we won't hit nothing. Right? So I would like to see a campaign start. You were saying writing letters, going to the city council meeting. They hear you that one time, they give you 3 minutes to talk, and then you're done. Right? That's how it is in Chattanooga, Hamilton County. I would like to see us form the campaign with these wonderful mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters here on the stage, that the letters
the letters will go unanimously together to each one of these municipalities, and cities, and states where these mothers have been done wrong. I have 3 children. They're all grown now. And I have 2 girls and 1 son. And my son is a good old American hot dog kid. And if I got the news that something happened to my only son, and I tell him every day, son, if you're pulled over by the police, as soon as you see the blue light, you call your mom. So can tell you where you are. Such to the point to where we've ordered some data scans. This got to be a day job. But I want to know where they are immediately. Put your hand on the steering wheel. Ask the officer. Yeah, the question is, sorry, thank you, keep me on track. The question is, what can we do in Chattanooga beyond organizing some efforts with you and all the other folks on the panel to get the letter writing campaign started? And if you would tell us that, I would help you and get you on radio show so that your voice can be heard.
I think pretty much everyone out here said just keep it going because you are in it every day and you get tired. You need to add somebody in, but collectively showing up consistently and all the time, but specifically for Tyree's family as it relates to Chattanooga. What can she do to support?
Well, like she said, we all have to have a voice. Because at the end of the day, it's atrocious. When we saw George Floyd in 2020, the whole world saw George Floyd die on that ground with that man's on his neck. And when the world saw it for the first time, I never thought that this would happen again. Like, I never thought in a million years that that type of incident would happen again. I know we do need a lot of help. All the mothers up here. We go to these city council meetings, we fight. Hell, I've been to New York, Washington, all these places, and grieving at the same time. But it's funny, people really don't care about us. They don't care about our sons. Like Wanda said, the only time they care is when their money is being removed or disrupted. What those police officers did to my son should have never happened. That should have never happened. And what I would like, though, and I know we probably off subject a little bit, but what I would like, I know they say they need reform in the police departments and things of that nature, but those police officers need to take mental evaluations every 6 months. They say every year or every 2 years, but this world is crazy these days. I get it. Everybody has problems, but they chose the job to be a police officer and to protect and serve. And a lot of them, and I'm not going to say all because we do have some great police officers. I know a few of them, but we have some bad police officers out there. And those are the ones that we need to figure out and get rid of. And if we can do that, I think we'll have a better chance. I really do. So, yeah.
My name's Pastor Pilgrim Walker. I'm a associate pastor here at Fairfield under the very capable leadership of Dr. Howard D. Jones Jr., our senior pastor. I had purpose to come here and introduce this and not say anything, but she said something, stirred something up in me. And talked about the guilty verdict and how that they were found not guilty, the not guilty verdict, found not guilty on 29 charges. But truly there were much more that they were found not guilty on all those lesser charges. The reason why it hit me because on March 24th, 2015, my 24-year-old daughter was murdered by her boyfriend and went to the court 2 years later, stepped through that process, and they found him not guilty. And they could, at the very least, have found him guilty of reckless homicide in the same way they could have done in this Terry Nichols case. But they chose not to do it. And what that indicates to me that there's a problem within our justice system. there's a problem within our political system. Here in Tennessee right now, we have a super majority in our system here that's legislating all types of evil. But people are able to get in these political positionings because of us not participating in the things we should be participating in. You know, I'm a ex-offender that happened to come out with my voting rights because of the years that I was convicted of my crime. And I had the ability to vote. But there are many others who wish that they could vote and would participate in the process that they can't. But then we got those of us who can vote that will sit home and don't vote, and then we'll come together and we'll complain about what they're doing when we can vote people in office that would challenge the stuff that we're displeased with. So as long as we sit home on our behinds and do nothing, we have no reason to complain about what's going on. But if we get out here and stop marching just to be in a crowd of people, but march for a purpose to accomplish something in this government that we have to live with as a citizen every day. Or if you're not going to do that, you just need to shut up and be quiet.
How you doing those past on that? You didn't hear us. If you have any question, you have to be it. Okay, we have this. Then I actually have a question. Okay.
I don't so much as I have a question, but I do have a comment. My name is Patricia Ward, and I'm from the Nan chapter in Memphis. We haven't been established that long, but we are aware of Tyrese Nichols and the verdict. It is not the end, but what we do need is to give them what they need. They need support. They need people. We have to have people behind them to push through to where we're trying to go. And so many of you all made the perfect comment. We need each other. Not just in Memphis, we can galvanize for whatever we need. I say we every time that it has to happen. We are the people. Understand what that means, and we take it in our own hands and do what we need to do for our people. And they have to answer to us. That is the law. We have power. Yeah. But we must understand that we have that. Galvanize ourselves from all over. No matter what the situation is, each one of them can have all of us there pushing for them. Not for one day. Yeah. Keep pushing till it breaks.
Amen. Let me ask you that I think because we're hearing, I think what is still, we're hearing a lot of the same. It is what you all need, support. You all said it, galvanize, show up, not just some days, every day, all of that. Let me ask you all, what does justice look like? Because we say we fight for justice. You know, we can talk about a verdict, but if you do get the verdict, does that feel like justice for you? We can get legislation passed. Is that so? As we talk about and ask you, how can we support? What do you need? And I think for everyone else standing up, we got it. They need us. They said it. But let me ask you all, what does justice look like for you in your situations? Is there such thing as justice for you? If so, what does it look like?
Well, justice for me is my son coming back home. And that's justice for me. But I believe there's really never no justice as far as I'm concerned. But if your story, or if you could help someone else or prevent this from happening to someone else, that's justice for me. Because at the end of the day, my son is unalive and he will never come home. So there never would be any justice, even though they might go to jail on the federal side. My son is in an urn right now. Their families can visit them in jail, but I can never hug or kiss my son. So there's never really any justice. But if, like I said, if we can help to prevent this from happening to someone else, that's the justice for me.
Justice for me is my brother, he received a life sentence. So on the other end, they need a life sentence. That's what justice is. Cause I come from the project, and if you talk to anybody in the project, they'll tell you they kill 10 of mine, I'm gonna kill 20 of theirs. So the bottom line is, give us some type of accountability because we need that.
Yeah, I just want to take off my number one when she said, justice is having our loved ones here. We don't have our loved ones, so there ain't no justice. Dr. King say justice delayed and justice denied. And, we've been delaying justice for far too long. So what we like to think is more accountability for what these officers did to our loved ones. But justice, I think, with Mama Rock, I think most of y'all feel that we getting done because we have our loved ones.
Yeah, cause, I was talking about that earlier, and this is organized chaos. And it's chaotic, but it's organized. And we gotta move, and we gotta galvanize, and we gotta stand together as one. But we gotta get other people to be able to have that understanding and want to do it too. We gotta be able to get these people structured because the people that we need them to be able to climb up, but we gotta help them. Nobody's helping these people, so they don't want to say anything. The stuff we've been fighting for over 400 years. And all the stuff that they've been passing on us, and all the people that got voted in, people had reasons why they voted the other side. But right now, you don't see us out there watching. Who do you see out there? You see Caucasian people. They fighting for something we've been fighting for. And right now, you see all these mothers, all these brothers, fathers on the stage. We still trying to get these people to get life sentences. They give these people a slap on the wrist. And we got to wake up every day and see the same stuff on the news. Somebody else being murdered over and over and over again.
Yeah. I used to say justice would be when all those police officers who murdered my son stood accountable and all the transparency would come out about what they actually did. And even though none of those officers got charged, I still made them come to court, got a FOIL, I made them testify, and they may never be charged, but I will correct them to death. Okay? So justice for me, if there's no justice for our children. Our children can't come back, so there's no justice. But we just need to feel some kind of peace in our heart that something was done because of their murder. And even when there is something done, even those of us who got a little justice, I call it a little justice because we still don't have our children, it doesn't feel as good as we thought it would feel. Because when that officer got fired, I thought I would feel joy. It wasn't that kind of feeling for me. It was a sadness plus they didn't do nothing for my family. So, justice is, what you want justice to.
It sounds, as our pastor Mike, sounds like accountability is more the goal than, of course we want a verdict, right? We want, the conviction, but accountability is more that and prevention for the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's really more about accountability and the prevention because the thing is this, we can get all accountability in the world, but if tomorrow there's another Brianna didn't want, and then the fact that it shouldn't take this long. It's 5 years for me, 10 for others, 3 for some. It should never take that long to get any type of justice. And then what's going to happen is when we die, there's going to be more Mr. Jiggies in the world.
Justice for me, what we used to say is just us right here. Justice is just being able to see accountability in the space of, I always said that it is a conflict of interest, in my opinion, when the district attorney is working to charge the police. And I say that because they often come together, they often play golf together, their kids go to school together, and so they're definitely not going to work to get their friend convicted who they work with all their lives. So accountability is one, being able to see that separation and understand when our children are killed by the police to be able to get an attorney that is not representing the police in the court system, causing our children to go to jail. Second thing that I like is oftentimes the coroner's office and the sheriff's departments usually work together. And so because they work together, the coroner's office can render the death certificate the way that the sheriff department wants the death certificate written. That's another department that I would like to see separated. And so we have to look at the way that our system is built at the different layers and understand that until we begin to dismantle and to tear down some of these layers and rebuild them differently, that we're going to continue to get the same results that we have been getting for years. And the last thing that I would like to see, because we know none of us up here have gotten the justice that we want, again, that accountability in dealing with food from police officers. We talked about previously at a conversation that I was on that you can become a barber almost faster than you can a police officer. And so the maturity level of those that are becoming police officers have really, in a sense, if you look at the age level, where when we look at how our society is ran and how it's said that men mature at a slower rate than women. So when you have someone going into the police force that's 18 and 19 and 20 years old, or 21 years old, rather, starting at 21, they may not even be mature enough to carry a gun. And so I think that has to be looked at, the way we're doing our hiring practices, the way we are reprimanding our police in the police stations, because oftentimes they are allowed to kill in one city and move to the next city and get a same policing job. And it has to be a database that we was talking about trying to come up with, where when they kill in one city, it's made known, hey, you got this police officer coming into your city and he's already killed in this city. So things like that have to be brought and implemented to ensure that that accountability portion is there.
Can I piggyback off for this real quickly? And what she was saying about the age qualifications of some of these police officers, the unit that was involved in my son's murder was called the Scorpion Unit. This unit is supposed to go around these high crime areas and look for people growing drugs and doing all this different type of stuff. I don't know why they just in my neighborhood because it's not a high crime area, but they were there. But my point is to say this. Those young men, I think the oldest was 31. One of them had worked at a Burger King 3 years prior. So what I'm saying is, when we have these type of units, I understand there's problems in the cities, but I feel like these type of units should have more qualified officers, because you got these young guys coming in. They have these badges and they're broke, you know? So that's one of the things that I'm fighting for, is to be able to, when we have these units, to have officers that are seasoned, that can understand the streets a little bit better. Because a lot of the things you guys didn't hear about my son's case in the federal trial. And the officer basically said, the only reason why he pulled my son over, because he was pissed off because he didn't make an arrest on an earlier stop. So just imagine sitting in a courtroom, your son is dead, and you heard the police officer say, well, you know, he really didn't do anything. He ran back he went through a yellow light, but he made it. But I was so pissed off that I had to stop him because the earlier stop failed. Could you just imagine that? Somebody telling you that's the reason why your child is not here, because they were mad? And this is what I say, that these police officers, they need to go through mental evaluations at least every 6 months, because this just doesn't make any sense. That every time you turn on the TV, you see one of our children murdered by the police officer. I guess we know it's black on black crime. We all know that. But at the end of the day, these people were hired by us. Our tax dollars pay their salaries. And they're here to protect and serve, not to murder our children.
Yeah. Really quick, I just wanted to provide an example or express the importance of voting through an example. If 47 decides to exonerate pardon Chauvin, but on the federal level, he will still see 22 years on a state level because of that conviction on both levels. If the governor, who is Tim Walsh, would have to pardon him on a state level. And so that's why it's so important to vote. A lot of people like, I'm not voting. I don't know anything about this person, and they had all sorts of reasons as to why they didn't vote. They didn't believe in the administration and so on. But it's important to vote for someone, so that collectively they are the ones that's ultimately making the final decision. And you want that, person to not get off. I just wanted to express the importance of that.
We've got time for one last very brief question before we wrap.
Okay, please. My name.
Well, just a second. Make sure the mic is on so they can hear you.
Hello.
There you go.
My name is Nancy Dobson. I'm a former professor of Black Studies. So, I've been sitting here thinking, what you're describing are lynchings, legal lynchings. Have you ever thought about it like that? And, I'm kind of emotional because I live in Kentucky. And you know anything about Hopkinsville, you know anything about East Kentucky, I've had police roll up on me and I love them. So, we are still terrorized. All of us are terrorized. And you can be a man or a woman, and I'm handicapped, but I'm terrorized. I feel the pain. Every time I see police, I think I make it a constant. We should have to live like this. We shouldn't have to feel this pain and misery that we feel like American people. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the things you've done. Thank you for your kindness, your tenacity. Thank you. Let me say it to you. Thank you. We appreciate what you do, and we suffer too. And all of us suffer this wrong if they honest. And we don't fight it. And we can fight it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
With that being said, I want to, as we close out, just, give y'all just one last time to circulate the microphone. Anything, because I know some of you have some projects that you're working on, books, documentaries, if you want to share information about that, how folks in the audience can access that. And then any memory that you want your loved one to have, because one of the things I always say is it was a difficult question, approach that I had to make to people when I'm not on whatever news story and I've got to talk to them and something just happened or the day after. And I was very sincere in it. I want to talk to you about the memory, the life of your loved one, not how they died. How do you want us to remember how your loved one lived, not how they died? We can just walk it.
Well, I love commemorating life and life to see your stuff on the positive light. One of the main things we have in the movement, what we say is something like say their names, and then the crowd would say their name. We have recently, about a year or two ago, we did the Stefan Clark College Preparatory Middle School, and look at thank you, all three of y'all, thank you. But so the what we did was with that middle school, they say my brother's name every day, and that is how, I always say that commemorates like the legacy of my life, because my brother just got some kid who was unarmed killed in my grandfather's backyard. He was the father, he was the brother. Now, kids report cards and all that have his name on them. Kids graduate through his school.
It's not.
You know what I mean? So for me, I just want to say his name. If y'all can help me out, I say his name. Y'all say Stefan Clark. Say his name. Stefan Clark. Say his name. Stefan Clark. Say his name. Stefan Clark.
So we have to get away for just bear with. And when you all are speaking as we're closing, there's that camera back there. If you just look down it now. Okay, so we have the joyful just police night that we push on here thoroughly.
and it has the blood of every last family member here. A lot of these ladies fighting for far longer than what we've been fighting. And we reintroduced that bill last year in 2025. Unfortunately, we lost our congresswoman, so the bill dies with the congressman for the congresswoman. We've lost two Congress people. So we are hoping and pushing to reintroduce that bill under this administration and continue to fight for justice. We also want to underserve and underserved communities. We provide children, families, plans of care to try and heal their homes. A lot of families that we find, they pay all their bills. They do work or they, get their checks or whatever, they pay all the bills and they still just simply can't sustain. And so we go in and we educate and we bring about real resources. People always say you don't qualify for this reason, you don't qualify for that reason. And so we raise funds to make sure that we are able to help them do bills, and they do qualify under our umbrella. And so that's very important for us. We also have culinary school where we teach communities financial literacy, teach them how to cook and different things like that, safety in the kitchen. We have several programs. Breathe Again, which is a reentry program. A lot of inmates become a part of that homeless population or penal offenders simply because they give them a one-way ticket when they're released. And we don't know what some of them don't even know their families, so they become part of that population. And so our program, when we get to touch on, let's say, at least try to set them up with resources that they may not have birth certificate, social security card, and try to help them find employment. So we have several programs, those are just a few.
Speaking, I started the Mount Auburn Foundation back in the spring of 2021, where our vision is we advocate for Black boys. I'm often asked, what do you want your foundation to do? And my answer was, I want the first dollars raised to go to individuals that look like Ahmad in the areas of mental health, dollars in the community, and also in the schools. We're in our fourth year giving out the Mount Aubrey Academic Scholarship in his high school in Brunswick, Georgia. We met the criteria. They have to write an essay about the life of Ahmad and how receiving this scholarship would benefit their families. And also, they have to be registered to vote. Very, very important. And if they're not registered to vote, they're not eligible. Also, we started a program last year. We get about 45 boys. We take them for a weekend and we love them. And again, all the boys look like Ahmad. And that's what really gives me hope to continue to fight. Also, we have a campaign going in the month of May. Ahmad did turn 31 on May 8th. That was last Thursday. And we're asking, and also May is the new up month. So we're asking 31 people to give $31. And I'm hoping that that's the us to this campaign as well.
I want to add something. I know a lot of the ladies was talking about the media, basically taking our little ones here at all. And so one of the things that Fellows did this summer, and I'm extremely proud of, he went to the University of Southern California and did some media training for those new college graduates that would be entering into society as your journalists and your reporters and different things like that. And so, helping them to learn how to deal with families that are grieving, I think is absolutely phenomenal. And as a result, the city of Minnesota has reached out to us for the training as well. So I think that's excellent.
With our family, as you guys know, we're thoroughly into this. So we did start the Tyler Nichols Foundation. And I'm proud to state that our daughter is the president of the foundation. And it's helped her tremendously to get over this grief. But again, we're very, very new to this fraternity. So in the future, we have a lot of things that we're planning to do, and hopefully all of them come to fruition.
I think it's fair to say, as you all are still in the mix of everything, like you all are occupied with that right now, rightfully so, then I imagine some more things will come to after you have a support. And I just want to share, take your time. I mean, it's no rush, just take your time. I do have the Breonna Taylor Foundation. And we're also pushing for the Justice for Breonna Taylor Act, which is again banning the no-knock warrants and requiring officers to have their body cam footage on prior to interacting with anyone in the public and to not turn it off for so long after. And with the foundation, you just been helping families generally just having a hard time after the pandemic. And we're helping people go to different trade schools because we know that college isn't for everyone. And we do also work with the University of Louisville, who does different scholarships for in Brown State. We have the Oscar Grant Foundation, where we offer scholarships to those graduating from high school going into college. And in between that, we offer Know Your Rights presentation, because we always tell our youth, if you are encountered by a police officer, we want you home safe with your mother and father. And so we try to provide them the tools to be able to make it home safe and to share with their parents what transpired so that their parents can fight for them versus them trying to be out there fighting for themselves. Also, as the Oscar Grant Foundation, we do a couple of things. So with the families, we do what we call a 5-step Healing Hurting Hearts program, which brings families who have lost their loved ones together to talk about the 5 stages of grief, to learn how we can heal through those stages, because we understand that grief is like a roller coaster. Some days you feel one way and the next day you feel another way. And so we try to provide that foundation of healing for the families, because previously we didn't talk about PTSD a lot. And so our young men, a lot of our young men have seen many things that we haven't had an opportunity to see in our lifetime. So we try to work with them to encourage them to really share their feelings of how they're feeling, to help to get them whole and healed. Lastly, one of the things that I'm going to do for our foundation that connects with our scholarship is we're offering a tutoring process for our scholarships. And we have a bridge in our family where my brother has a foundation as well, where he really tries to work with the families. If you don't have media training, if you don't know the law and need support, we really try to provide that support to the families to help them navigate through talking with the media, help them navigate through dealing with the court system, help them navigate through dealing with the communities as well. And from that, after my son was killed, the Oscar Grant Foundation Food Station was made, which brought awareness to the community. And then we have another documentary out that's on Netflix right now. It's called 4 Hour Children. So we are trying to work with families who may not be in the media, but want to allow their story to get told. So we're working to collaborate with other families to be able to have books so that they can have a chapter in a book. And so we hope to have that complete by next year. And I do have a book on hand that is called From Tragedy to Triumph as well. Basically, thank you.
Okay, and my daughter is Sequette Clark, the mother of Stefan Clark. She has a healing classes for all the mothers, and she has a book out. It's on Amazon, also for healing with Mama Clark. It's on Amazon. And also I have a Blessed Child Association, and I work with Mother Wives, was working with to let the young kids and my grandkids and all of them learn how to make your food, grow your own great outdoors and greens and grow the food, because we don't ever know that the stores might not have food anymore, but they'll know how to grow their own food. And also I started because my grandson, when he was, I could say, how would I say that? The word I'm trying to use is that he was brutally murdered. And yes. So also I have started in the community marching with the King during COVID. Everybody couldn't march and stuff. So I started a caravan, and it's called the Blessed Child Association, MLK. And so we're going cars, and then the guys go on their motorcycles and stuff. But we have that every year. This was our 5th year. Wasn't it the 5th year? And so, but it's just now we're working with the kids, and my grandson has a foundation, the Stefan Clark House. And he has every all the mothers, your sons, your daughters, aunties, grandmothers, cousins, everybody all up there on the wall and stuff that they videos and all these things for the children, to come out there. And it was, I mean, it's really nice for mental health as well. And also, if you don't have nowhere to go for the youth, he has, he make sure that they're taken care of. So my daughter, I am so proud of her because it's a lot of mothers I see what they go through, but she helped me to get through by the grace of God. And that was the classes that she had. He just gave awards for the mothers and all of us. And it's a good mental class that helped to, to get stronger through the hearts. So, yes,
Everyone is consistent of their therapy.
Yes, I have an organization called the ERIC, which is my son's name. It's an acronym which stands for Eliminating Racism and Inequality Collective.
I like that.
And what we do, we have like a lot of children that's in the neighborhood who we're trying to keep from falling through the cracks. We want them to know that there's more than just guns and gangs. So we organize, we take them out maybe once a month and take them to the city, let them see plays, let them see how there is so many other affluent Black people who works down in Manhattan, go into the office and say, well, look, these people, they are executives, and you can be the same. And we try to bring out that a lot of them have a lot of time, and they don't even know it. And try to bring it out of them. Some can sing, some can sew, some are good comedians. There's so much time that's out there that's just being lost if we don't try to develop it. Also, we give scholarships. I have a fundraiser every September, which is Eric's birthday. And we give scholarships to children that's going to college. But what we do, we don't pick the most brightest children. We pick the children that, they grades was low and they pull themselves up. And so now we want to recognize them. We want to praise them. Hey, you were failing, but now you pulled through. And, give them hope and, encourage them and empower them. So this is what we want to do with the children. Also help the people in the neighborhood. Some people don't, have food. A lot of people think we're in America and there's still hungry people. And some come to our office and say, well, I don't get my food stamps until next week, So we have a freezer where we have chicken, we have canned goods. We give this out to them, to pull them through for the next couple of days until they get their food stamps or whatever. Or sometimes we take them to the store and we buy them vegetables and things. So
In the gap.
yes, standing in the gap. That's exactly what we do.
And that's what it sounds like everyone in their own ways doing, and the community vice versa in their way. Well, if you all can give everyone up here a round of applause for their courage.
Turn that over to Cheryl.
Oh my goodness.
Was this amazing or was this amazing? We never know if we don't know. And what we don't know, they just brought it to us. And I appreciate you once again. Miss Jones, can you please tell us about what Trayvon Martin's mom has going on?
My sister, Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Trayvon Martin, she started a foundation on Trayvon some years ago. And every May, she does an event, a weekend event. It's called the Circle of Others. When I lost the mom back a couple of years ago, I was told immediately, Sabrina has the Circle of Others, and you need to get there. It's truly a weekend of healing. And what's most importantly, she brings the mothers who feels the pain that I felt. And that means everything. So it's a very good event. I'm actually headed out on Friday to go to be a part of that.
Thank you so much. And I asked her to do that because Sabrina was going to be here, but because of her retreat, she couldn't come. And I just want you all to know, so if you thought that this was good, we have this event tonight, the Black Diamond Ball. And when we will honor our families, we will honor our community, our people, just bringing the love that Mr. Reggie talked about, just showing the love. So if you all come on out and enjoy that evening. I just want to say thank you to Pastor Howard Jones for opening up your doors and allowing us to have this here. I appreciate that. I just want to say we have other families that's in this audience that have been through something. We have families that has lost their children. Our president of the Memphis chapter lost her son. We have Miss J right here. She lost her son through gun violence. We have plenty parents, people, everybody in here can tell a story. So I just say, to God be the glory. I'll say that. Because without him, we will be in trouble. And keep praying, keep your head up, and just say thank you. Just say thank you. Thank you all so much for coming out. And that concludes our evening. We have Pastor to come up. Oh, and tonight we have our keynote speaker will be the Reverend Al Sharpton. And he could be here to talk and we'll let everybody know what's going on. I want to also say thank you to our president for the Las Vegas chapter. He's here. He's been here. This is the second time in a row coming out. So thank you so much, Mr. Bush. And I just want to say, look, you all. Now, you know, you always have to have a backbone to do something. And I just want my husband, can you just stand up, baby? And I just want to say thank you. Because without him, I couldn't be who I am. Like I say, they nice, they call us all of it, but he's always saying, okay, just do what you have to do. Just do what you have to do. How would you say? All right. Okay, yeah, but we gonna bring this to a close, and we have Pastor right there, so we can go finish doing what we have to do. Thank you.
All right, let's give God some praise at the place. We want to very quickly, and we're going to take pictures and get out, but very quickly, I'm going to think about Dan's mom and the pressure of just having to go through this, and she being incapacitated in this point. I believe that trauma, if we're not careful, it will take you over the edge. You know, I don't know what I would do if I was in this shoes. And we have to pray for the gentleman who lost his son and decided to run over a deputy. Let's pray. To most wise and holy God, we thank you, Lord God, for these families. We know that you keep the health in your hands. We pray right now that you continue to give them the strength and wisdom to fight this good fight and get into good trouble. I thank you for those who come out today. And I pray right now, Father, that it will be energized to prevent this type of injustice. It is in the mighty matches of Christ we pray. We owe you everything. Amen. God bless you. Oh, let's give Ms. Wallace also some love. She's always fabulous.
You all right?